Cool. So thank you, Tasmin, for being with us today. If you could just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself. Where in the country do you find yourself tonight? That'd be great.
Okay, so my name is Tasmin Bota. I am from Bedfordview, Johannesburg, and I am the mom to a baby that was born prematurely at 28 weeks, and he weighed 1 kilo at birth.
Wow. Okay. And can you just, you say premature birth, what does that mean? If we had to describe what is prematurity and a premature birth, what would you describe?
So any baby that is born before 37 weeks gestation is considered preterm. As you all know, a full-term baby would be at about 40 weeks is considered full-term, but anything after 37 weeks, the baby would be fine should it be born before then.
And why is that a concern? Why would we be concerned about a child born before 37 weeks? Why is that something to pay special attention to?
We need to pay special attention to it because firstly, we have such a high rate of premature births, especially in our country. 1 in every 7 babies is born preterm. And because of the emotional, the financial, the physical side effects that you suffer because of a baby born preterm, and the fact that not a lot of people know about it because it's not a subject that is discussed openly. It's very taboo. And you only end up finding out about prematurity, as I did myself, when you find yourself in that situation. So we're trying to change that by speaking out about it more so that people are more aware of prematurity.
Okay. So you mentioned that you're a mom of a baby born too early. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that journey and your story?
Absolutely. It was a shock in some sort of ways. In my case, I had been in a car accident about 6 weeks prior to me giving birth prematurely. So I believe that is what brought on my premature birth. And I was not prepared for what a premature baby looked like. Nobody told me. When I laid eyes on my baby, he was so tiny. With premature babies, they literally are just skin and bone. So the last thing to develop in utero is fat. So literally this baby is just laying there, that's only skin and bone. And because I had no information on prematurity, I had no idea what laid ahead of us, what obstacles we would have to overcome. And in actual fact, in my mind, I was preparing myself for the worst because I could not see how somebody born so tiny would be able to survive. And I think that is where my great debate started with God. I spent many hours questioning why I was put into such a situation. And yeah, my baby spent 54 days in hospital. And in that 54 days, my spiritual journey blossomed because it was literally just me, the baby in the incubator, and God having these conversations. And believe it or not, to my question why, God did answer me. And not many people are fortunate enough to get that answer. And I needed pause in my life, and prematurity gave me pause. I was too focused on so many worldly things. And when you took away all those worldly things, and I was just left with God and the baby, that was all that mattered at that time. And ever since then, I have chosen never to question God again because he knows why he does what he does. And my faith has grown so much, and I'm forever testifying to my moms and dads about how wonderful it is to have prayer involved in your journey. I always say to them, it's good to pray with each other because in the Bible it says, where 2 or more gathered in my name, I will be there. And we saw the power of prayer through our journey. The more we prayed, the more people joined us in prayer, the better our baby actually got.
Wow, that's amazing. Sure. So that was key, having people around you praying for your baby at that time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my husband and I, every day, the first thing we did when we walked into the hospital was pray. And the last thing we did before we left every evening was pray.
Wow. So if you can share from your experience, what support was helpful for you and your family?
Definitely in our case, sure, a lot of people they showed up. People came to the hospital, even though they weren't allowed in to see our baby, and they just came and they sat with us. And it helped. Like our friends would come over to our house and they'd be like, no, we're going to cook for you guys tonight, and just sat with us and spoke with us and took our mind off what we were going through. So that few hours of distraction really, really helped. And like, I was very fortunate. I have had an older son, and my mom was key in looking after my son at that time, because personally for me, I couldn't focus on anything else except for that baby that was in hospital. And she ended up taking over all the parental responsibilities and made sure that my kid was okay and that he was eating and that his schoolwork was being done. And even down to our school, they were so supportive in helping us manage everything that needed to be managed when it came to my eldest son. And yeah, the prayer worked so much for us. Like, I would get messages from people saying that we're praying for you, we're thinking of you, or they would send messages onto their prayer groups to pray for us. So it was really, really wonderful how everybody came together for us.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. I'm so glad you had a community and a network of support around you at that time. That's such a good, that's
It was
great news.
key. I don't think I would have managed any other way, to be quite honest. And I'm very lucky that my husband he was a pillar of strength for both me and the baby. Till today, I still don't know how he managed to do it, because when we were falling apart, he was holding us together. But he's a man of faith. And I think that's what, when I was so doubtful in my faith, he was the one that was like, God's got us. Don't worry. He knows what he's doing. So yeah, we were very fortunate.
Oh, awesome. Tell me, in your journey, what do you wish? I guess my question, I'm now thinking two ways. What did you wish you knew, or what do you wish people around you knew or understood about having a baby that's so small and so little and sitting in hospital? What do you wish you knew, and what do you wish others around you knew?
It's quite a vast question, because prematurity is different for everybody. Like, we can have a baby, you and I, born at the exact same gestation, weighing the exact same amount, and have two totally different outcomes.
Sure.
So I would have loved to know about all I'm a person of information, so I would have loved to know about all the medical conditions that could have happened, that did happen, why they were happening. But I suppose that information overload is also not necessarily a good thing. So I've learned, as I've been going through this journey and walking this path with other people, of the different kinds of things that can happen because of prematurity. And I also just wish that people, like, when you hear that a family member or a friend has had a premature baby, try and find out as much information that you can, so that you are equipped. So when they come and they say to you, oh, like, for example, with my son, he suffered from apnea of prematurity. So because his brain wasn't developed, it couldn't send the signal out that he needed to breathe. So he would just randomly stop breathing. And
That's
I wish
scary.
it was terrible. Literally, my job was to sit next to that incubator and watch the stats. And the minute the stats started dropping, it meant that he stopped breathing, and I had to wake him up to remind him to breathe. And I just wish that, like, when I speak to people about that, being in my circle, I wish that people would have done research on that. Oh, what is this apnea thing? So that the next time when I say, oh, my baby had 10 apneas today, they would know exactly what it was that I was talking about. So again, education is key. And to just find out from the family what it is that they need, because I think everybody's needs are different. What I might need a whole group of people around me supporting me, and the next person might want to be left alone. So for you to find out what it is that you can do that can help, maybe cook a meal for the family. I think that was one of the biggest things, was having food to eat. It's something so simple, but I mean, even if you could buy a voucher to give them, make a little gift basket, something, like any little thing helps. It goes a long way, because the financial burden of having a premature child is also hectic. Traveling to hospital every day, like in my case, in the beginning, I was going to hospital 2-3 times a day, and the financial impact of it became too much that I eventually started just going in the morning, and I would stay there the whole day until my husband could come after work and see the baby, and then we would go home together after that, because the
Sure.
financial impact was just too much for us to bear.
Yeah, sure. And in the season of like lockdown and COVID, what is that like now with families in the season? What do we need to pay special attention to?
I think COVID has really thrown a wrench into an already horrible situation, because a lot of hospitals have adopted a no visiting policy or a limited visiting policy, which is detrimental to a preterm baby, because they need that skin to skin with their mom or dad, so kangaroo care. And a lot of them aren't getting it because they're trying to avoid spreading the virus amongst each other. So it's a very, very tough one at the moment. Like, I mean, me just going home at night after spending 9-10 hours a day with my baby was already hard. So I can't imagine going days without seeing my baby.
Wow. Sure. That sounds like something we can be praying for families in that space.
Absolutely.
You've mentioned a number of things while you've been talking about how we can support making meals, asking families specifically what we can do to support them, praying for them, just popping in and being there in the space, helping to distract. Is there anything else that individuals and churches could do to support families in this time when they're faced with such a stressful situation?
Again, also, I mean, with COVID as well, COVID has just added a different level of financial stress to people, which is why I think we've had a rise in South Africa in preterm births during this period, just because of the financial impact. So yeah, if we can do groceries, grocery vouchers, buy a bus tag even if you need to, so that mom can get to see the baby when she is allowed to.
Perfect. And lastly, I guess just to end off, I know you're involved with supporting moms and preemies. Can you tell us a little bit about your involvement in that space?
Absolutely. So I run a support group called Preemie Connect, and Preemie Connect was formed because, as tough as the hospital journey was for us, I found that once we left the hospital was when the real struggle came, because we left the cocoon and the safety net of having doctors and nurses at the drop of a hat to help with any situations. And when we got home, we were entering into a new normal that everybody didn't understand. And so I found myself going in search online for a support group, and I couldn't find anything that was South African based. And so I decided, let me start that support group. And that's how Preemie Connect was birthed. So we essentially give support via WhatsApp. Unfortunately, this year we were supposed to launch our in-person support groups, but COVID happened. And it's just great to have somebody who has been where a lot of parents find themselves now, to be able to lean on, to get advice from. We even find ourselves, I mean, my baby is now 3 years old, and I still find myself having questions that I need help and answers to. And I just jump onto the WhatsApp group and say, hey, mommies, can you help me with ABC? And then we give each other a whole bunch of advice. And it has relieved so much pressure for so many families to have somebody to talk to who gets it.
Wow. So if we came in contact with a mom who was had a preemie, could they connect in with what you're doing? How would they connect in with what you're doing?
We have a Facebook page, which is very active, where they could send a direct message and we will get their details and get into contact with them. Or you're more than welcome to give my phone number out, because that's where the WhatsApp support group happens.
Wonderful. Tasmin, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you so much for shining this light on prematurity. It means the world to all of us in the preemie community.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your passion and heart to support other mothers going through what you went through. Yeah, so we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.